The next person to speak is, well, I hope I can call him a friend of mine, John Muldowney. A lot of people might know him through all his work with young people. He's done a lot of work with young people in Letterkenny. He's always encouraging. He's a musician and he organises festivals, but really John's just John, and he's going to tell his personal story. It's not a bad job. So John Muldowney.
I'm right behind this yacht too. The first thing that struck me actually, I just want to say was, you know, we've got 3 mental health professionals here that probably have about 60 years experience between them, and there's no one of them will be able to look at any use and say, well, that person's got a mental health problem. You know, you think about that. You know, like you don't know. It's not like you walk about with, if you have a broken leg, everybody knows you have a broken leg. You know, but what's going on in there, you don't know. So, give you a wee bit of background, I suppose. 55, living in Letterkenny for the last 20 odd years, happily married, lovely family, brand new house, 3 dogs, 3 cats, like my work, everyone's pretty good, love playing a bit of music, like my pints, you know, you'd think, well, there's not much there to be unhappy about, like, you know, not very much to be depressed about. But it can just come and grab you. You know, I remember as a child, there would have been black days, like, you know, you would just think, you know, why do I feel so bad? Why, you know, why is everything going wrong here? And no real explanations as to why, because I had a happy enough childhood, you know, really good. We'd talk about how, you know, and there's a bunch of you that are all my generation, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. When somebody who had depression or anxiety or whatever, just go, oh God, love that creature, they're bad with their nerves. You know, that's the way it was kind of put. You know, nobody ever mentioned that somebody might have a mental health issue. It's like, oh, they're bad with their nerves. You know, it was a way of putting it. Well, I suppose, you know, to kind of bring it a wee bit up to date, I've been on Prozac now for about 10 years. I started off on a low dose. In response to some difficulties I had at the time, it was just episodic, which was didn't have much in the way of work, so my self-esteem was a little bit low. I returned to education at the age of 37, which was a positive thing. It was really good, but I suppose the stress when it came into getting into sort of 3rd year, when really they start piling on the work, and all of a sudden you realise it's not just the walk in the park that we maybe thought it was, you know. The stress really got to me, and I didn't realise so much myself. It was actually it was my wife who said that maybe I should go and seek a bit of help, and I went to the doctor and spoke to a great man. He was very understanding, my local GP, and he said it's a bit like a pendulum on a clock, you know, when it's swinging, and he says every now and again she'll stop, and when it stops you might need a wee kickstart, okay? And that's what they prescribed me, Prozac at the time, and within took about 3 weeks maybe. Actually, again, you know, my lovely wife, she noticed before I noticed. She said, you're going back to yourself. She noticed actually that there was an improvement before I could actually see an improvement myself. Went on anyway, pressure came off the college, it was grand, and I felt everything was kind of tickety-boo again, and I thought, right, well, maybe I might think of, didn't really want to be thinking about myself as taking antidepressants, you know. I mean, that's for people who have serious problems, you know. That was my train of thought anyway, which bit me in the arse some time later. Anyway, kind of move on then, and by this time I was in the work that I'm in at the moment, actually working with young people in a youth project in Letterkenny, and really good, really enjoyed the work. But I had a kind of I suppose you might call it a clash of personalities with one of my managers, which really stressed me out. And again, difficulty with sleeping, all sorts of stuff. Back to the doctor, so that was me then. He said, well, what has worked before? And I said, well, I had taken Prozac in the past, a couple of years ago, and it seemed to work. And he goes, okay, we'll try that again. It was grand. So between the jigs and the reels, I've been on it ever since, on a lower dose, but it's what they may call a maintenance dose. Take a tablet every day, keeps me kind of right, I don't really have any kind of issue with it. It just works, and that's fine. But there have been times when things have got a bit darker. When I lost my brother to suicide 5 years ago. And that meant that the sort of intervention that I required was much more substantial than just taking a tablet, And just because I'm in the locality, I'm just kind of curious. Would any of you have known Harry O'Brien over in Gailearai? No. Aye, you mean he was a cousin of my mother's. Yeah. So we have a wee bit of a history of having mental health or mental ill health issues, because poor old Harry took his life too, back before Christmas a number of years ago. He was due to come up to our house. He used to come to our house every Christmas, and a couple of days before he was due to come up, we got the word from Maggie Jack. But to say, so this time it was much more serious, and I got a referral to Console, who the service in Console is now operated through Pieta House, but it's essentially the same service. It's basically for people who have been bereaved by suicide, which runs very nicely along their work in trying to help people who are experiencing suicidal thoughts, which in the aftermath of my brother's suicide, I had the same fears. I don't know if anybody here has had suicidal thoughts, but my experience of it was the fear that it would follow through, because you've suicidal thoughts, but you don't want to bloody die, yeah. So, as you can see, it can still hit a nerve, Huh? No, we're all right. We're all good. As I say, I mean, there are things that are unexplainable. Like where you just kind of go into a sort of a feeling of feeling down, but whether it's under the weather or where you really, sometimes you can say, all right, well, the reason I'm feeling down is because of this, there's stress, there's this, and that, the other. But other times, there's no bloody reason at all. You just feel like shit and you don't really know why. And I suppose, really, one of the things that prevented me from seeking help was that I kind of had it in my own head that if I can't explain to somebody why I feel so down, or why I'm feeling suicidal, or why I can't get out of this pit of despair, then how the bloody hell can they help me? Because you think, well, if you go to the doctor and you go, geez, doctor, I've got a bad leg, doctor will go, all right, okay, well, we'll have a look at your leg, you know, and you can articulate, or like you hit your thumb with a hammer, or you cut yourself, or you did whatever, you get to the doctor and you, right, and it's very, very much kind of, right, this is what's wrong. Can you give me a tablet, or can you give me a bandage, or do whatever, but like, to go on and try and seek help when you haven't a bloody clue what's wrong in the first place is really, really difficult, and I think it's probably one of the reasons why people, particularly men, find it so hard to go and speak to a GP or a mental health professional, or even your mate, even the fella that you go and cut the turf with, to be able to go and say that and say, listen, struggling here. You've got all the sort of self-doubt, does this mean, if I go down this road, does this mark me out as a failure, what will people think, which should be really the last thing that you're kind of, that you're worried about, but unfortunately for most of us, it's the first thing. You think, well, what will the neighbours think? Jesus, oh sure, I knew he was my wife, that kind of way. So yeah, and getting over those barriers is really, really difficult. Now, all I can say is that my experience of accessing the mental health services that are available, who are stretched beyond belief and under-resourced and everything else, but I have to say, when I needed the help, it was there. And really, the only thing that you need to do if you're feeling in any way bad is actually just go and ask for help. It's as simple as that. Just ask for help, and I think you'll find that once you can open the door, to talking about how you feel, even when you don't bloody know why, you're not sure what's going on. You just, for whatever reason, you might think that the background is one thing and it could be something else entirely, and I suppose, just as a little illustration of that, my eldest daughter, when she was 13, we found out that she was self-harming, and as you can imagine, as parents, we were absolutely bereft, because we thought, Jesus, is it something so bad within our family life that is leading her to this? And we were very lucky. We accessed services really quick. Bernie Walsh, God love her, took Rosie out of school once a week for 5 or 6 months maybe. And we would talk to Rosie afterwards and go, how did you get on today? She goes, we were just making sand sculptures, and I was doing some drawing and whatnot. 6 months in, Bernie was able to tell us that the reason for Rosie's distress, and it had stopped at this point, was that her best friend's mother was killed in a car crash the day after she left a party for her parents' 40th wedding anniversary. She was hitting a head-on collision with roadworks and work, heading to work. And it was the fear that the same thing could happen to her. So you say, well, how did Rosie articulate that? Through a very, very roundabout means of therapy, which is, again, it's the same thing that in a roundabout way that I experienced when I got counselling after Console. The wonderful Noel O'Driscoll, I think is now down in Sligo, referred me to Gailearai and Parkview House, which is a fantastic place. And I was visiting Gailearai for maybe 6 months or thereabouts. But I suppose the point was that Gailearai saw me every week, and then it was, look, I had his phone number. If you're any distress, any anxiety, or anything, give me a ring. So the comfort of having that was one thing. And then as the thing progressed, and the meetings got less, and I was maybe meeting them once a fortnight, And the way we left it was, well, sure, if you need me, give me a ring. You know, went from kind of meeting it once a week, once every couple of weeks. Then I think there was maybe I met him for maybe a month, and then there was nothing. And by that time I was back to work and whatnot. But the door was there. The door was open. Now I couldn't, honestly, God, tell you. I went in bereft because of my loss of my brother. But there was a whole bunch of other stuff in there that was obviously causing me, you know, problems from time to time. And we managed to get a lot of that sorted out too. You know, because one of the things about a good counsellor, and I've seen a few, so I think I have a reasonably good, you know, good idea of what constitutes a good one and maybe a not so good one, was that the best way I can liken it to is like, you know, my head a lot of the time is kind of like there's 3 radio stations, I'll kind of a wee bit out of tune all at the one time. It's just a load of noise, you know, and it can be distracting at best, you know, and it can be downright bloody hateful when it's really full flow. All the stuff going on, and it was like they were. It was like I was able to put things, lay them out on this floor here, and go right. That's there. That's there. That's there, and get it all out, and then be able to put it back in its wee boxes and just go right. Well, I know where it is now. Sure, if I need to come back to it, I kind of know what's causing, you know, or what relates to this or what relates to that, and that was a bloody revelation to me, to be honest with you. And I didn't realise at the time how profoundly that experience of counselling would have sort of changed my life in the intervening, you know, in the subsequent years since. Because like, when's 4 years ago, but 3.5 years ago, I stopped seeing Jared. But as I said, it was a very, very positive experience for me, you know. I'm not going to ask if I'm out of time, because I know I probably am, but I'm just going to rattle on anyway. I just, you know, want to kind of accentuate the positive here. You know, what worked for me and what continues to work for me is talking, you know. Not surprised you can rattle on rightly. But talking about stuff, and you know, just you know, we talk about youth work, we talk about having one good adult, but just having somebody, it mightn't be the person you're closest to, because sometimes that can be a wee bit fragile. You're like, you know, it might be somebody that you're maybe kind of casual friendship, maybe a wee bit more, and that maybe work a wee bit better, where you can kind of, you can test it out on them before you go and hit your best mate with, you know. I suppose just to go back on the importance of what Christina was saying. See, that whole thing about getting out in the fresh air, there was never a truer word. My granddad, God rest him, used to go out. He used to think he was mad at the time, you know, maybe he was, but he used to go out in the moss, take the boots off. He'd go out in the bare feet and walk up through the moss up the back of the house, you know. And he said, he says, it's good for the feet and it's good for the head, you know. Now we have dogs, which is a great excuse to get out. You know, and at least once a week we'll get them down into the water and the sea. And that thing about green space, it is known, it's well known. There are so many studies have been done on this, and the importance of getting out and accessing green space is, you know, it can't be overstated. Like the thing with I remember with Noel, because Noel, the console counsellor, was, you know, bit of a hippie, like, you know, and you know, a kindred spirit in a lot of ways. But I remember him talking to me about connecting, grounding, you know, and I thought, you know, hippie shite, like, you know, to be honest. But he talked me through it, and at this point in time I was in quite significant distress. And he said to me, he said, look, he says, ground yourself. So literally, think about your breathing, he says, and think about your connection to where you're standing, right down into the ground. And I practiced it, and I kept doing it, and I would go up to the forestry up the back of the house, and, you know, go up through Gailearai, and I would do that, and I would just literally just concentrate all my thoughts just on the next step and connecting with the ground and so on. And I found that it stopped me overthinking about things. And it really helped when I kind of needed help, you know. Christ, what else can I tell you? Really, yeah, look, there are a lot of services that can help if you need help. You know, you have Aware, you have Solace, you have Gailearai, you have the Samaritans. You know, there's loads of services, and you know, any community project at all has there's a kind of an almost unwritten remit that, you know, you need a bit of help. You know, we kind of all know where to point people if they need particular, you know, whether it's information or you know, well, where would I go, or what do I do? You know, what's available locally, what can I do? The main shed is one of the greatest things I think that's ever happened. You know, because it allows people to, you know, if you're living on your own and maybe, you know, not working or anything else, to give you a purpose and just to meet up and have a bit of crack, you know. So, like, I would urge you all to, you know, to make as many connections in your community as possible, and if you need to access more formal or professional help, the likes of counselling, you know, that I suppose the first point of contact is without a doubt your GP, but don't be afraid of it, because if it wasn't for it, I wouldn't be here.
To be honest, you wouldn't think he suffers from depression at all, because he's always smiling. He hides it well, and a lot of people do that. They smile when they're outside, and when they're inside, they fall to pieces. It's usually left to the woman at home. And Davy was a gentleman, and I was shocked when it happened. So you don't know. Like, sometimes, a couple of years back, there was a friend of mine who was a bouncer, and I was chatting to him on the Saturday night and on the Monday also. And I was, like, knew the man very, very well. And you just can't see it coming. And it's a thin line. I was close to it. I've attempted. So the first thing in life I failed, and I'm glad I failed. I ended up out in hospital, got my stomach pumped and all that, you know. When I wasted alcohol, I wasted drugs at the time anyway, but to be honest, I'm here, and I was lucky I got the help. So